took drum lessons. This drum instructor, his name was Joe. He was in his late 50s at that time, and he was the drummer with the Glenn Gray Orchestra. Sam Ulano knew him and knew Glenn Gray as well, and said he was a fair drummer. Sam was a straight shooter. So yeah, he was a fair drummer. So I took lessons with him for a while. My earliest memories of Sam was the summer of 1964. My father came home with a stack of World's Fair tickets. I still have 2 left. And I was playing drums about 6 months by 1964, summer. And I happened to stumble upon Bourbon Street. And I heard drumming like I'd never heard before. So I advanced and moved forward, and there, right in front of me, less than a foot away, was Sam Ulano. Had a beautiful set. His floor tom-tom was here. Had a wrought iron gate. I was maybe 6 inches away. Now I was playing at that time. The first 6 months, I was basically Ralph C. Pace studies. He had a series of books. That was mostly what my drum instructor was using. So I didn't really understand. To me, the bass drum was 1, 2, 3, 4. But now I was watching Sam, and he was hitting that bass drum with such kicks that was lifting him out of the chair. Then he'd come down and he'd hit that floor tom-tom. And I mean, if you're a drummer, the best place that you want to be is behind the drummer to see what's going on. And like I said, I had a stack of tickets, so I must have seen him about a dozen times that summer. So I'm not sure how many people here could say that they remember Sam Ulano playing when he was in his early 40s. I can, and I must tell you, he was some drummer. Played with force that I never saw before, but yet I was a young kid and hadn't been really around. But I never knew that drums could be played like that. Anyway, lo and behold, a year goes by, and I go back to the World's Fair, and this time I'm playing 1.5 years. Now, I never played the piano before in my life, but if I took lessons for 1.5 years and I meet you back here, I'll play you a nice song. So after 1.5 years, and I had the fire in me to play drums, and I had it in me early. So now I'm playing 1.5 years. Now I'm watching him with different eyes. Now I'm starting to talk to Sam. He's talking back with me, and I'm starting to get his books. And as you can see, they were in color in those days. And I had Bass Bops, the Drummer's Guide, the Solo Guide, the ABC. Oh, I had about a dozen books or so. Because I was studying also on my own. I had my drum instructor, but I had to take off on my own. My earliest, I want to go back a little bit more and just speak a moment about myself and drumming. My earliest memory, because I'm talking about the fire that you need to have in a drummer. Now, I have several students, and only one has the fire, and her name is Sybil. Sybil is 7 years old. Sometimes she comes twice a week. She has the fire. My other students are better, but this one has the fire. I've never seen anything like that. And today she came to me with an open stroke, or what Sam would call the Roman roll. And I told her one day the sticks would just bounce by themselves. So my earliest memory of drumming goes back to 1959, 1960. 1959, I was 8 years old. They had songs like Bongo Bash. I remember playing on the seat of cane chairs and just playing, you know, banging my hands on anything I could bang my hands on. In 1960, 61, and 62, my father took us to the Catskills on vacation, for, a little resort. And it was like a house band, a bunch of teenagers, young people in their young 20s. And I remember when I was 9, I was looking at the drummer and really liked what he was doing and liked that instrument more than the other instruments. The next year, I was 10, and I remember going backstage and before the band played, and I was touching the skins and just getting the feel of what it was like and looking at the pedals. Well, anyway, by 1962, when I was 11, I said that, I can do that. I can do what this drummer's doing. I want to play the drums. So I built a set, pots, pans, tops to the pots would be the cymbals, books. And I had these long easel sticks from where I used to paint. And I used to put the radio on and play along with Nat King Cole songs. It's my earliest recollection of playing the drums. Then came songs like Wipeout and stuff like that. The Ventures came out, and that kind of really got me rolling. I took about 80 or 90 lessons from Sam. Unfortunately, not really enough, but it was in his later part of years, or in the later part of his life. And he brought, during those 85, 90 lessons that I've taken, I was trying to count them today, he brought into focus the 50 years that I have been playing the drums. I always called myself a drummer, but I realized that I was not until Sam sat me down and kind of harnessed my energy and diverted it into a way that was constructive. But my first drum lesson with Sam was the most memorable. It was in 1966. It was May.